When we are doing reflections, the key to reflections is remembering that reflections are equidistant, which means they are the same distance from the line of reflection over the line of reflection. So the first two most common reflections will be over the x and y axis. Now remember, x is my horizontal axis, as I've labeled here with x. So if I was going to reflect point A over the x-axis, I just needed to count how many units to the x-axis point A is. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's 4 units to the x-axis. So that means my reflection is going to be 4 units above the x-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so this would be A prime, or my reflection. You can also notice that point A has a coordinate of 5, negative 4, and A prime has a coordinate of 5, comma, positive 4. So you'll notice when you're reflecting over the x-axis, the x value doesn't change, and the y value is just the opposite of your given y point. In this case, A was negative 4, so the reflection will be positive 4. Now, if I was going to reflect over the y-axis, or my vertical axis, the steps are exactly the same. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm 5 units to the y-axis. So to reflect over the y, I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units over. So A double prime has a coordinate of negative 5, negative 4, whereas my original point A was 5, positive 5, negative 4. So reflecting over the y-axis, it's my y values that don't change, but rather my x values go from positive to negative. Now, doing the reflections themselves are pretty easy because all we're doing is counting. What can be tricky is if we're asked to reflect over a specific line. So in this case, I use the example x equals 4. Well, x equals 4 is going to be a vertical line because I have to go through the x-axis at positive 4. So that's going to look like this. Okay, so this is x equals 4. And you'll notice how point A is only 1 unit away from x equals 4. So therefore its reflection will also be 1 unit over that line. So A triple prime over x equals 4. That reflection would be 3, negative 4. And of course y, if we have y equals, in this case I use the example negative 3, that means I have to go through the y-axis at negative 3. So again, this is my y equals negative 3 line, because again I'm going through the y-axis at negative 3, and it just so happens that point A is also, again, only 1 unit to the line of reflection, so it would be just 1 unit over the line of reflection. So A quadruple prime has a coordinate of 5, comma, negative 2. Now we also did happen to mention, I believe, that what if we were reflecting over the line y equals x? x. Now that's that diagonal line that goes through the origin. Oh, that's negative, sorry. Negative y equals x and y equals negative x. Obviously the negative has a negative slope, so that would go downhill, but I'm doing y equals positive x, so I'm going to be going uphill. Now for the diagonal, to reflect over the diagonal line, what we're going to do is we're still going to count the number of units I'm away from the reflection line, but first I'm going to count the number of units up, and then I'm going to count how many units to the left or right. Okay, and that's because if we move to connect points on this diagonal line, I have to go to the right and then up. Or in some cases I can go down and to the left. Okay, so to connect those points on a diagonal, we have to go horizontally and vertically. So to reflect over a diagonal, that's how we're going to count. So we can either count up and to the left, or we can count to the left and then up. The same number of units. Okay, so point A, I'll count to the left first. So let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 9 units to the yellow diagonal line to the reflection. So then that means I have to count 9 units up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my reflection of A over y equals x, my diagonal, gives me a coordinate of -4, 5. Now, if I was to count up and then to the left, you'll notice that we will end up in the same spot. So it doesn't matter which direction you start in, as long as you're counting first counting both horizontally and vertically.